Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So the Los Angeles Lakers just agreed to a 3-year, $40 million contract extension with Kyle Kuzma, and that is the end of the video. Actually, it's not, man. We actually have a lot to talk about when it comes to this. But before we get into it, if you guys don't mind dropping a like and, of course, subscribing if you're new to the channel, we are trying to shift this channel into a little bit more like NBA discussion and a little less NBA 2K. Although for this one, you guys can obviously NBA 2K is on the screen. But yeah, man, I really like talking about basketball, so having your guys' support in doing so would be greatly appreciated. If we can get this one to 1,000 likes and 100 brand new subscribers, literally will make my whole damn Sunday, guys. But alrighty, so let's talk about Kyle Kuzma. I will say straight up, 3 years, $40 million, which is about $13 million a season. I think that's absolutely perfect because what this does is it essentially lines up with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And, by the time that dynasty is over with, obviously Anthony Davis will only be like, I believe around like 30 years old, so Kyle Kuzma will have a really good idea at that point who exactly he is. After 3 seasons, you think you would get to know a guy. But still, for the most part, I don't know if Kuzma is more like, hey, I could be like an all-star, or if he's more so like, hey, you know what, I'm actually closer to a role player. Going back to his first 2 seasons in the NBA, the first season back in 2017-2018, he was averaging about 16.6 rebounds per game. He was this rookie out of college. Obviously, he was one of the older rookies, being the age of 22. But still, you looked at him, and we were all kind of surprised. I believe he was either a late first or a second-round draft pick. It was to the point where obviously, when it came to the scouting and everything, this guy was slept on because this guy was a very mature player. And he had a lot of good footwork and knocked down the three-point shot decently enough. And he was a lot of fun to watch. It was after that season that, a lot of fans out there were saying, hey, you know what? Y'all got Jayson Tatum on the Celtics. We got Kyle Kuzma on the Los Angeles Lakers, which in hindsight is kind of silly to think about. But you know what? It's neither here nor there. Let's not compare people to other people. Kyle Kuzma is still a really good player. He finally followed up that season. This is the first season with LeBron James, but there obviously was no Anthony Davis. This season around, man, still started 68 out of 70 games and averaged 19.6 rebounds, 3 assists per game. 3-point shot went down a little bit. Field goal percentage was right around the same, though. And, yeah, he was looking like he was at least improving. Maybe not all the right places because you want guys to be able to shoot threes. But, yeah, man. And then follow up the 2019-2020 season. It was obviously a weird year with the NBA shutdown. The Lakers brought on Anthony Davis, who, essentially means that the Lakers had 2 of their superstar players playing the position that Kyle Kuzma probably should be playing, the small forward or power forward position. So he was listed as a power for that season. Came off the bench most of the time, 61 games, only 9 games starting. Last year, he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist per game. Shot about 32% from 3, so a little bit of the improvement from the season before, but still not that 36% that he was at his rookie season. And there was times where it's like, hey, he looked really good. And there was also times where it's like, you know what, man, like he's fine, but is his potential being wasted over here? But altogether, I think you have to look forward at this next season because obviously you can look at the past and be like, this is what a guy was, but what could he be? And this next year, it seems like this NBA season is really like running upon us. It's getting close and closer. It's only a few days away. And it feels just like yesterday I was watching the Lakers in the NBA Finals. So I do think initially to start the season, we are going to see not as much LeBron James, but we're going to see a hell of a lot of Kyle Kuzma. And to be honest, I could see him, averaging around 16 point per game, being highly utilized in the Lakers offense as LeBron and at times Anthony Davis do rest just because AD, despite him not being really old, he's still an injury-prone player from the past, and it's like you want these guys, you want your superstars to be healthy, ready to go when it's actual playoff time. Like that's how the Lakers need to be judged, is based solely off the playoffs and not so much the regular season. And Kyle Kuzma can be one of those guys that can help carry the offense as he's done in the past. And I really look at it too, the players that he's going to be playing with off the bench essentially. Now, I don't know if the Lakers starting lineup has been initially, or I don't know if it's been officially announced yet, but, if they do more like point guard LeBron James and stuff, then chances are you're going to see guys like Alex Caruso, and maybe even like Talen Horton-Tucker or Dennis Schroeder, coming off or going in the starting lineup playing with LeBron, Anthony Davis and stuff. But Kyle Kuzma for the bench unit, I do think it's going to be pretty interesting, especially if Schroeder can come off the bench for the Lakers. My initial thoughts is that he's probably going to start, but that would have been kind of nice to see. But even playing with like a veteran like Marc Gasol, let's assume Marc Gasol's coming off the bench, or Montrezl Harrell, who's of course the 6th man of the year of the past. Those are both guys that's going to open up for Kuzma on the offense. Have that be Montrezl kind of playing his bully ball on the inside, is going to warrant double teams and leave Kuzma wide open on the 3-point line. Or if he's playing with Marc Gasol, who's been one of the best passing big guys since he's really entered the NBA. Either way you look at it, Kuzma should be a much more improved player just simply playing with some of the veterans out there. I mean, obviously, playing with like Rondo, who's a great facilitator and stuff in the past, or playing with like Dwight Howard was a little bit more limited just because like he is like you're strictly like playing on the inside man. But no, man, it's going to be there. Like the opportunities are going to be there for Kyle Kuzma. And over the course of the next 3 seasons, this is kind of my predictions. I think the first season, Kuzma definitely sticks around, and that's going to give us like a really good idea what he is. Because like I said, man, going back to like that sophomore year, this is probably going to be the most offensive opportunities he is going to have. But then let's say this first season, things go okay. It's like, okay, well, they're fine. Then they could honestly look to trade him, because that's the thing. It was kind of hard to trade Kyle Kuzma before because he was still on that rookie contract, which I don't know what the exact dollar amount is. But let's say it was roughly like $4 million a season or something like that. That was tough to trade, because to do that, you would have had to give up somebody else, like a KCP or somebody along those lines if you want to trade him before. But now at $13 million a season, I mean, that's essentially enough to go for like a pretty decent NBA player, or obviously he can be tossing with somebody else out there. Maybe not as good a player, but obviously like a bad contract player or somebody like that. And yeah, you use that to pull somebody in, because last year, like going for Bradley Beal, I heard about that and I was like, how is that actually going to work salary wise? But I do think with Kuzma's new contract, if they want to pull something like that off eventually, it definitely can happen, man. So yeah, for the Los Angeles Lakers next year, I think they've made some of the biggest, most important moves in this offseason, guys. Like straight up, I don't think the offseason is always about, hey, let's go out there and get the best player possible, because when you have a foundation of LeBron and AD, you already have 2 of the best players possible. I mean, ESPN, I was not a big fan of their top 100 lists, but they did have AD and LeBron listed as the top 2 players in the entire NBA. But I'm going to say going into this season, more so than ever, guys, the depth to an NBA team is what's going to win you a championship. There is going to be a ton of back-to-backs. There is going to be a ton of times where your star player is not going to be able to play back-to-backs, and if they do, injuries are going to be at an all-time high. You combine that with the fact that obviously, COVID is still going around. I mean, if a player gets that and they're out for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, that's another thing, man. You are going to need bench depth, and the Lakers went out this offseason, man. They got Dennis Schroeder. They got Marc Gasol. They signed Kyle Kuzma to a pretty damn friendly contract. Got all these great players, Montrezl Harrell, and their bench is better than ever. So for that reason, I do have the Lakers winning the championship. I've been saying it, since since they signed some of these big names. I was really impressed with what they were able to pull off, man. Kyle Kuzma's gonna be part of that yet again. Not expecting superstar numbers. I'm expecting those nights where he is a go-to scoring option because of LeBron or AD is probably resting. And when those guys are in the game, it will probably be a lot of last year where it's like, okay, like he'll get shot attempts. He's going to get his own out there. But I wouldn't say he goes back to like 20 points per game consistently, man. But yeah, that's all we got for today's video. Give me your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.